Oh, hope that wasn't on. Sorry about that. Adjust your mics, or adjust your volume. Alrighty. Cue theme song. You can hear me, but you cannot see me. Cue the theme song. Alright, you guys, this is a great opportunity for us to dive just a little deeper into our 99 names of Allah, learning 100 minus 1, the names of Allah. I know I've spoken about them pretty frequently, although we haven't really began to learn the bulk of them. I think we made really good progress. We made a great start into learning and even applying them, speaking for myself and all those who are engaged. As far as, coming on here and really looking at this again to go ahead and review, we have not done so much lately. So, great opportunity. Ian is out working, what have you, right? He's working, and then of course dinner comes around. He's with his brother, okay? So I have some time to myself to go ahead and review with you guys this evening. Let us go ahead and begin. We have, starting here with name 28. I'm on slide 28. Let me get over to my tab. Alright, and we just have a few. I found that when I went over a whole bulk of them, it was a little bit chaotic to cover and explain. So we're just going to go over a few, and then we also might touch on at the end the rest of them that we've learned, just to really ingrain them and really begin to learn and therefore apply them as we see fit, to go ahead and grasp onto them a little bit further. It's very, very important, and it makes for your relationship with Allah, with God, that much easier when you can begin to understand Him and understand who He is and what exactly He represents, and His role in our lives also. Okay, so we're starting out with a pretty simple concept, and a pretty simple one that we learn. It is al-Basir, okay? It means all-seeing. And we're very familiar with this concept of God, that, He's always watching, He knows what you're up to, and we're going to know how to use this, because how often would we call upon al-Basir, and how and what way would we call upon al-Basir? So this is great for Allah. Did you see that? Or you see something incredible or shocking, right? Then you cannot believe your eyes, right? You need a witness, right? You call on al-Basir for that reason. And let's see what other notes I have here. So I wrote out, Allah sees literally everything from many different perspectives. He sees from our own eyes. So He sees with our own perspective. He also sees from His perspective. He would also see from the person standing next to you. Or just, you can think of it from all angles, right? Even from the perspective of an ant on the ground. He can see into things on a cellular level to an energetic and invisible level. This is why He is truly the best witness to all that surrounds you and also within you, and why He is our God and Creator. Bonus, Allah can also alter the sight and vision of others. I threw that in there because that is just something that came up. But incredible, right? We do know the all-seeing, right? He sees everything, but it really, really goes into depth. The length and the depth that He can see energetically, invisibly, the way that His vision is and the way that He is. He can analyze anything from a visual level, and absolutely incredible. So besides that, right, He can see from our perspective, so He understands, and also the perspective of others, and really everything. So hopefully that helps you understand, if you didn't know this already, right? It's kind of obvious when you think about it, but of course He can do all of these things, but really to understand. And when you see something, or if you're confused about something, you need help, right? You have an ailment, you have some kind of illness that you're not sure, it's like a mystery, right? ask al-Basir to go ahead and look into your body to see what the problem is, and grant you some introspection, right? Literally introspection, and yeah, the knowledge will come. This is interesting too. I just noticed this because remember when Prophet Elisha was being shown the vision of all of the angels and the army of angels around him at that one point that we were reading. That's what made me think of this one here. And I'm sure there was another thought that came into mind, but I can't think of it now. Alright, let's go ahead and move on here. Right here we have Al-Hakam. Al-Hakam, meaning the judge and the giver of justice. Okay, but what I forgot, I'm sorry, but you know how I have these pictures behind here to help you remember the word by what it looks like or what it sounds like. So, I mean, let's go back for the sake of it. C, right? C, I put a C behind it, literally, okay? You can kind of understand where I'm going with that. Alright, moving on here to Al-Hakam, so the judge, the giver of justice. This word too, when I highlight just the part of it, I'm thinking of like hacking at something. So I put this sword being hammered out, and who else hammers things, right? The judge uses a gavel. So that's why I had put that there, just somehow made sense. Okay, again, think of your own way to remember, but Al-Hakam, the judge, the giver of justice. Something to, let's remember the other one, and let's see if we can, Al-Fatah, also the opener or the judge. Let's see if we can go ahead and differentiate the difference. So this one was more associated with the opener part. When you're seeking hidden knowledge, right, you need a decision maker, excuse me. And then also Fatiha means to open the book. To open, and Faha means to open or unlock. So it's a little different. We'll hold on to that when we look at this one. Al-Hakam says not only is Allah the best witness, but He is the best judge, judging scenarios, circumstances, and even people down to an energetic and cellular level. So I did talk about that a little bit with Basir. He is meticulous in the idea of weighing pros and cons for the greater good. This is why it is best to leave the difficult decisions up to him. When Al-Hakam is involved, he is best in deciding who or what gets the axe, and to avoid taking matters into your own hands. So again, kind of the same with the tough decisions. But instead of, opening and presenting knowledge to you to make the decision, he is keeping the knowledge to himself and not revealing so much as to why he made the decision. So this can often occur when something terrible happens, right? Something terrible and miserable happens, and the question always bounces around, why did God let this happen, right? What happened? Why did God do this? And if it's something that's really just puzzling and confusing, you don't understand, this is kind of a good example of Al-Hakam, right? He is the judge, he is the giver of justice. He has to weigh and measure decisions, quite literally decisions and life events and actions as a result of something, or something happens. So he analyzes things very, very down to the atom, quite literally to the atom, to go ahead and make the appropriate decision. So this is why he is Al-Hakam. Sometimes it's a harsh decision, sometimes it's a hard decision, and we don't understand why. So we call upon Al-Hakam to go ahead and ease our emotions, right? Really, not to tell us why necessarily, because sometimes he can't explain it, because the way that he gets down to it and the way that it becomes discoverable, we would never understand, until we're with him and we can see things from his perspective. But in the moment, in our earthly bodies, it's impossible. It's impossible to even understand sometimes. So yeah, so when you're struggling with it, he'll ease. You call up Al-Hakam, right? You're kind of miserable in this sense. You call upon him, when you just don't understand, when you just don't get it, and you need help in just helping your sorrows and your emotions. You're struggling with grief, you're battling, you don't understand, you need help making a decision that you can't make on your own. Al-Hakam, you just leave it up to him, trust him in this process, okay? So again, to differentiate Al-Fakah, right, to go ahead and reveal information to you to help you make a decision. Al-Hakam will make the decision for you. He will make the decision, and he will do the thing. He will do it and take care of things. So yep. Okay, so moving on to Al-Adl. Al-Adl, okay, this means utterly just, kind of similar to what we were talking about. And you see the lovely picture of the cow here, because Adl just sounded like utter, and that's how that happened, okay? Adl, utterly just, most gracious and most merciful. We say that every day, do we not? Yes, most gracious, most merciful. Allah is the most just, multiplied, and then some. When we turn to Him for all our affairs, we become more and more pleased with the outcome, because it is always more rewarding than we expect. Good to use when you're in a difficult situation and you're requesting justice or mercy. Okay, so again, very, very similar to what we were speaking about when you're in a hard situation and you are needing, this is the key, right? Needing that justice or mercy, and you would like that justice or mercy to be revealed to you, and you'd like to feel that more greatly than if the emotion of the decision were to lift you. More so than that, right? You'd like to witness the justice and mercy yourself. But this only can come, right? This is a very sorry, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong too, so just bear with me. That will only come when we turn to Him for all of our affairs, everything. So it's a gift, right? To be able to experience mercy, to be able to see justice take place in front of your eyes, it's a very highly prized gift. So that only comes when we turn to Him for everything, not just the hard decisions, for literally anything and everything. We turn to Him, we call upon one of His 99 names. He gave us these 99 names for us to use and for us to incorporate in our lives, and yes, for us to memorize, right? Because maybe we will be tested. Okay, but I'm not gonna go into there, but we will be very, very pleased when we just turn to Allah with everything, because you will see things unfolding before your eyes, and you're more happy and more amazed, right? It's beyond the burden of lifting your shoulders. You are actually becoming joyful and enthralled by the situation. So that is Al-Adl, okay? Utterly just, most just, multiplied, and then some. Okay, I need to breathe. I feel like I can't even breathe. Al-Latif, the subtle one, the most gentle, okay? The most, like how could anyone being be the most gentle? But yes, the subtle, He's subtle, and He's the most gentle. My notes here, I use this a lot during this recent storm that we had here in Florida, as there were some large branches I was concerned about. I called on Latif, for He is the most gentle. So that is a good example of how to use this. If you physically, right, need something to be gentle, or need someone to be gentle, or in this case it was the storm, but you crave gentleness, you call upon Al-Latif for His comfort. Even His comfort is helpful, right? But this is less about comfort and more about his attributes and how he is physically, spiritually, mentally, however you want to put it, how he is gentle, subtle. People, and like, I'm gonna come to this in a second. That's why I hide these, okay? I'm gonna get to it in a second. I'm on a roll. People associate God with a lot of things, as we know, because we're reading these, power, might, strength, fear, right? Vengeance, aggression, even, right? But he has the duality. Excuse me, it shouldn't even be duality, right? It should be 99 what have you, right? 99 different sides, and beyond, right? There's many more attributes that are assigned to our Lord that we can give him, right? It's really everything and anything, beautiful, positive, also kind of scary or negative. But how could somebody be the most gentle but also have all of these fearsome, gruesome attributes that we also associate? Because he is the most gentle, we actually associate less with him being the big, scary, fearsome God that we should, cower from. Because we should never cower, right? We bow and we prostrate out of adoration, out of amazement, out of humility, but we do not cower unless, of course, we have to, because like he can do that as well, right? But we associate more with him being gentle and soft. That is the best way. Besides the fear of the Lord, the fear, and that's the other thing, the fear of the Lord can come, right? But you don't necessarily feel, petrified and scared. It's more of a gentle and subtle is honestly the right word. Subtle warning. You feel that subtle, fear. It's kind of looming. You feel a little bit uneasy, right? But really, because he is subtle, he is gentle, and that fear is subtle, which is almost makes it scarier, right? You see the scary movies, it's scary movie season, the scary movies where it's just like quiet, right? Quiet and creaky, and then you hear the music. It's kind of like that, okay? But he's also very gentle in the way that he would worry you or scare you or warn you, really, right? But yes, perhaps you call upon a Latif if you have a great storm, or perhaps you would like to send a gentle and soft reminder to those in need. Allah is very subtle in his ways, majority of the time. It is also a great reward to notice those subtle reminders, and you can thank Al-Latif for his means of revealing himself to you. So, this part here, I just wrote these up a few days ago, but I'm dropping some gems, I'm not gonna lie. A great reward if you notice the subtleness. So it's very, very difficult sometimes to trace and to experience his subtle nature, but if you do and you can grasp it and you can expound upon it and you can receive joy and be excited, good on you, okay? Good reward for noticing his subtleties and thanking him for, his nature, thanking Al-Latif for his nature. Okay, so moving on. And these, the way we're talking about these, you guys, we're going to really, really get to learn them, I would hope, we're going to continue to go and review and things like that, but with this, we learn, right? Okay, moving on. We have Al-Khabir. Al-Khabir, the all-acquainted, all-aware, expert, knowing secret and hidden matters. So, a lot of these words, through these Arabic words, I've mentioned this before, they have lots of different meanings, and the English language can only really encompass a few qualities, if that makes sense, but we have to assign lots of different words to mean one Arabic word, if that makes sense, okay? So this is why, we have to kind of jump around a little bit, but the all-aware, the expert in knowing secrets and hidden matters. There could be more than one way to perceive this, but al-Kabir, I just saw the word beer, my apologies, but you can think of how you need to be aware when you go out to like bars and things like that. You have to be aware, as a woman especially, okay? As a woman, you gotta keep your head on a swivel, you need to watch your drink, you're socializing, right? So you're aware of everybody around you, you might do a little gossiping, knowing the secrets and hidden, so that's how I remember this one. Anyways, when Allah is referred to as Kabir, he is regarded as an expert, knowing everything there is to know about you, his subject matter, or things and places regarded as his creation. He knows all things we as common subjects are not aware of, or would spend many lifetimes just scratching the surface of what Al-Kabir is fully aware of. Not only is he fully aware, but also deeply acquainted and familiar with these subjects. Nothing is hidden or unfamiliar to him. So, again, trying to really dive into the meaning of what it means to be all acquainted, what it means to be all aware. We're thinking of many different things. So, he's an expert, this was one definition of this word, an expert, knowing everything that there is to know about anything ever. Absolutely expert, anything, okay? Yes. And he's also deeply acquainted, okay? Acquainted, and a good way to describe this word would be familiar, right? Think of somebody who's just so familiar and so comforting. He's very familiar with you, you're very familiar with him, like your best friend ever, okay? That's what it means. I'm gonna also look up acquainted. Also means to make someone aware or familiar with, or be an acquaintance. Familiarize, make familiar, make conversant, keep up to date. So also being very up to date at all times. He's not ever left in the dark in regards to anything. He is not ever unaware, right? He's never unaware, right? So, just getting to know that feeling, getting to know like, oh yeah, I can really go to him with everything. It doesn't just have to be prayer. It doesn't just have to be the word. It doesn't just have to be religion or politics. Anything like that. It can be the littlest, silliest, goofiest, most personal, most embarrassing little things. What was I going to go to? Nothing is hidden, right? Nothing is hidden to him, nor is it unfamiliar to him. So, how could this great God, who lives in the sky, doing my air quotes, be familiar with what it's like to be in a human body and living life on earth? How is he so acquainted with us? How does he know how our inner workings are, how our minds are, and how we think down here? That's something to go ahead and contemplate on, okay? He's very familiar with everything. Yes, and even life on earth. Very familiar. So, something to sit on, okay? Just for a little bit. Okay. Moving on here to Al-Halim. Al-Halim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Okay. What is my word? I'm sorry. I feel like I got a little too crazy. I'm sorry. Subhanallah. I'm having a hard time. Subhanallah. Walhamdulillah. Okay? I'm trying to work on that. Subhanallah. Walhamdulillah. Make all of our speech perfection when it comes to you, Allah, in regards to you. Al-Halim, meaning the most forbearing. What good timing. Most forbearing, exhibiting self-control. Okay, he's patient and he's restrained. Again, really goes well with Latif, Al-Latif. right? He's gentle, he's subtle. He's not going to storm in on you and yell at you ever, ever, okay? He'll get upset and he'll get angry and he'll feel that inside the most he could ever feel it before he gets mad at you and lashes out. And I know we're reading the Bible, I know we're reading the Old Testament, and he seems, horrific in all of his rulings, okay? But again, when we discuss the Old Testament, we're talking about the major events that take place. It's not everything that had happened during those times. So it's certainly not. We're talking about the most dramatic, the most traumatic events that we could ever go through, okay, as a human race. So that is why, okay, it seems scary. We have this idea and we have this image that he is ruthless and he doesn't care and he doesn't love us like we think he loves us, okay? But he's the most patient with us. He knows what we've been conditioned into. He knows what we've been trained to learn and understand. So he's very patient with us and very restrained with us. He gets our confusion. He gets our anxiousness, our weariness. He understands it, okay? The most forbearing. And he also exhibits self-control, okay, more than you think. Because we wonder, all right, yes, there's a lot going on in the world. We know that. But the amount of times that he could, lash out in a way that is like what's happening in the Old Testament as we read, the amount of times that he could and he would and he maybe should, he doesn't. I'm just going to put it like that. He absolutely does not. He is the best at exhibiting self-control, okay? I will put it at that. Allah is the most patient and filled with peace and forgiveness, even in the most unlikely situations. When we ask for mercy, it would make sense to use this name, Al-Halim, okay, where we need patience. It's honestly better. To expound upon Allah's constant forgiveness as a state of peace. Also helpful to call on Al-Halim when you need to show restraint and to not be the one to rush into decisions out of anger, haste, just as Allah does with you. And a good way to remember this one, hal, right? Hal, like stop, like halt, stop. Okay, so when you need to show restraint, right? You don't want to act, you don't want to do or say anything that you don't want to do, or if you need something or someone to stop and show restraint and to be patient, right? You can call upon Al-Halim, okay? Al-Halim, right? You expect patience. You would like to experience peace. You would like forgiveness, okay? Al-Halim. Alright, you guys. See, I can just go on and on, I promise you. So this is why we'll only do a few at a time. I drop them at appropriate times, so it makes sense for you guys. Al-Akhim, Al-Ayatim, the magnificent, the supreme. Okay, and I wanted to do red because we all love that box logo, the supreme box logo. And Al-Akhim kind of sounds like an anthem. Alright, I'm going to give them that anthem. We have the stars, and when we sing our national anthem, we're singing to our magnificent and great country. We're singing to our flag, right? Questionable there when we do all of that, but you know how it is. Alright, Al-Akhim means magnificent, supreme. Comes from the word, or is also pronounced and spelled as Akhim, Adim, which means very, very great, huge, enormous, superior, powerful. And it comes from the root Athon, which means bone, which is the strongest part of the body. Okay, so here is where we contrast with Latif, Al-Latif, and this is where we contrast with, see, look at me trying to remember. I got too excited. Al-Latif. We just talked about Yeah, maybe Al-Khalim, excuse me, Al-Khalim was what we just talked about with the gentleness. Yeah. Okay. Anywho, this is where we contrast, right? Because we have this great, huge, enormous, powerful, strong, magnificent, supreme being. How does he express these humble things, right? These humble attributes. Things to help us understand things that are classified as qadim in the Quran is the Quran itself, right? It's magnificent, it's big, it's superior, let's give it that, powerful. Calamities, we just spoke about that. The calamities discussed in the Quran that happen every day, that happen in the Bible, yes, they are great, huge, powerful, enormous. Achievements, so we can have positive, right, some achievements, or any large event itself. Allah, as Al-Khadim, is superior and more majestic compared to all of those things. It's kind of a given, right? His power is much beyond human understanding and our own imagination. We sing an anthem to commemorate the great events of our country's independence, and that word reminds me of Al-Azim, to commemorate the greatness, the majesty, the superiority, and the power of Allah. So, thinking of a great example, Al-Azim. Think of a great example of when God entered your life and when you realized that He was going to be ever present in your life. Might be very difficult. For me, the second part is a little bit difficult still. After all of this learning, after all of this praising, after all of this studying, I still have fear. Why? It's our own human error. It's our own misconception. It's our own doubt that likes to creep in. And if you're having issues, do not fear either, okay? Very difficult. So think about how difficult that was for you, even to think of when God appeared in your life, because what if He never appeared to you? What if you don't know? What if you haven't had that experience yet? When this comes to you, remember this. Remember Al-Azim or Al-Alim. Okay? It's a very huge, great, enormous, superior, powerful, strong moment in your life. Very strong moment, and to even think about it or comprehend it's even hard, because we talked about this. It's beyond our imagination. It's beyond our understanding. It's beyond what we can comprehend. So it's very hard for us as human beings, as mere human beings in our human earthly spacesuits, with our little potato brains, to go ahead and comprehend the meaning of God entering your life, because He's that huge and enormous and powerful and strong and magnificent and supreme. It's hard to grasp. And the fact that He is all those great things, that He would stay with you and serve and protect you. So, of course, we return the favor, the very least. Call upon Al-Khadim to reveal Himself, Al-Khadim to reveal Himself to you and remain in your lives. As much as there may be fear and doubt, tell Al-Khadim to expel this for me, please. Expel that for me, please. Okay. That is good. Move on there. I'm going on these tangents, you guys, and I have a feeling I might forget all these words after I done talk about them. But that's why we can go back, we can look, And I promise you, the more we talk about it, actually, the more it will stick in, and then you'll think of a moment, or a moment will come to you where, great, okay, I remembered that one, and then you just keep using it. The instances will keep appearing where you just keep using the names, and you use them again and again and again and again, and it becomes like second nature, like a mantra, right? So, going on to Al-Ghafur, the forgiving, exceedingly forgiving. Very common themes, okay? Exceedingly forgiving. And we talked about, I put it down here, to Al-Ghaffar, pronounced Al-Ghaffar, okay? Depending on your dialect and where you're from, you're going to say the G, you're not going to say the G. Al-Ghaffar. Now we're talking about Al-Ghafur, meaning the forgiving, exceedingly forgiving. It also means to cover, protect, and forgive. Okay, and just looking at this, okay, to cover, we talked about Al-Ghafar, how he forgives again and again and again, and forgives in multitude. And Al-Ghafur, we can forgive it as also protection and covering. If you made a mistake and you don't want anybody to see and you're nervous and you're scared, you can call upon Al-Ghafur. Okay, what else did I put here? Also differentiating the type of forgiveness. We might call upon Al-Ghafar when we feel far away from Allah, by committing sins over and over again, quantity-wise, and we wish to be brought back to Him by seeking His forgiveness. And Al-Ghafur is focused on, sounds like so alike, I'm sorry. Al-Ghafur is focused on the quality of forgiveness. When we are already close to Allah and commit clear wrongs, large or small, that are in need of special attention and care. It is a more intimate type of forgiveness that covers many minor and major sins. That is, if we recognize the sin and turn towards Allah for forgiveness. That is the thing for forgiveness. We do have to ask. Sometimes we don't, okay? It's not all the time that we have to ask. But the more that we become into practice by recognizing our sins, and also, because this is a hard step as well, to ask for forgiveness. You can recognize your sin, you can recognize and you can recognize and you can recognize, and Allah may be forgiving you, for sure, okay? He may be forgiving automatically, He understands. But when we actually turn to Him and ask for forgiveness, the ease and the joy that He forgives us with covers up things. It blots it out. It actually transmutes those bad, terrible, dastardly sins into good deeds. Can you imagine? It protects us. Okay, it protects us. It keeps our name sound. It keeps our mind sound when we turn and ask for forgiveness, especially. Okay, it makes it easy for Him to turn these terrible things into actually not so bad things that you might be feeling really guilty about. No, you can go ahead and transmute that. He can cover it, He can blot it, whatever He's going to do to not have you actually beat yourself up for those things anymore, or feel that pain anymore. He will go ahead and do that for you. So Al-Ghafur is for you. Okay, it's the quality of forgiveness, while Al-Ghafar means, you're sinning again and again. Sometimes you don't think you sin and you forget, and you take it out of your mind. You don't even realize what's happening, and all of a sudden you're all the way on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to being a air quote bad person, right? He will bring you back. Al-Ghafar will bring you back. And something too, you guys, you're not saying, you say these names, right? We're becoming acquainted with these names of Allah so we can get to know Him. We can address Him with beauty and perfection. But he is all of these things without us, using the magic words, right? These aren't necessarily the only way that these things are experienced by. Because I'm just thinking about Just thinking about the time when I was in need of Al-Zafar, and he certainly brought me close to him without me even asking or thinking of any of this, because I did not even know any of this, okay? So let's go ahead and do the last one. We've made some really good progress. This is a doozy, oh my goodness. Just gonna take a breath, hold on. Ali. And again, I may be pronouncing it because we have that little apostrophe. I think there's some kind of accent associated, but I'm just going to do Ali for the time being. This is the Most High, the Exalted. Okay? The Most High, which means Allah sits above His throne. There's His throne, and Allah sits even above it. He is not restricted by even the highest of heavens, and there is not a realm or dimension, a height, depth, or breadth that Allah does not have access to. Okay? Because sometimes I make this, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but I say this a lot, right? The God of this earth. I say it a lot, the God of this earth. Why not the God of this universe? Why not the God of this multiverse? Why not the creator of all things? Okay. Allah is not restricted by any realm or dimension. He does not have anyone to usurp or to tell him his decision cannot be made. He does not have anybody to answer to. He is what says goes. He is what says goes. He is the last mentioner. Okay, we think about the different authorities. I know I've mentioned the separation of the entities of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. Okay, there are other angelic, right? Of course there's angelic, but spiritual beings, major beings, okay, just to put it like that. But Allah is not restricted. He is the exalted, meaning there may be someone to exalt him, okay, but he is the Most High. He is not restricted. He sits above his throne. And he does not have anybody to tell him no, anyone, anything, any being. When he is consulted for his decision, you ought to you ought to ensure that decision is respected. And it is, just by the nature of his decision. It is ultimately the last say. So we always think, as Christians and Catholics, mostly Christians, we call upon Jesus as the Savior, right? As somebody who saves. But if Allah, if God makes a decision, it's final. It's final. And I'm not saying that Jesus cannot come in and remedy certain things, but there is that respect and there is that mutual understanding and commitment that cannot be broken, because Allah is the Most High. He is the Exalted, and no one, no thing, no being, no energy could ever deny that fact and that existence. They would refuse to deny it again and again and again and again. That anything be more exalted. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because the way that I was thinking in my head is even different than the way that I'm saying this now. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'll leave you with that. And because I ramble just on and on and on, I talk too much, I don't have time to go through all of these. Of course, if you'd like to watch the other videos and see how scatterbrained they are, go for it, and I will review again briefly with you. Which one are we on, by the way? 36. I think once we get to like 50, we'll do a good long review of all 50. And then we gotta let these sit for a little bit, because these were some serious ones. I would like to discover some opportunities where I can use more of these. I had mentioned I used Al-Latif a lot. Say Al-Latif, yes. I don't know if I said La-Latif before. I think it's Al-Latif. But yes, I want to have more opportunities to use Al-Ali. And I would like Al-Ali, I would like us all to call upon Al-Ali to be able to describe this to you, to describe his most high state. Because this is what I even struggle and combat with, I will say, okay? Because there's many different ideas, and there are many different concepts of supreme beings. I'm just going to put it like that. And we struggle with this most high concept and what that means. And again, like I said, I thought about it in my head a little bit different than it came out, but I feel very aggressive with the way that this was phrased, and I probably could have done better. But I'm going to leave you guys with this. This is all I have for you as of right now. And I'm now returning to my live. And I don't see my screen. I think it's just because I closed it out. But hopefully it was playing. Anyways, God bless you guys. Truly, thank you for listening if you're here to the end. Wow. And I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.